We can welcome each other. Glad that you're here. Let's stand up and greet each other and get across the room and say hello to everybody here.
No reason to be down any more so than any other 100-degree day.
Well, that is true. Yeah. See, I'm walking around kind of blind. I don't have the eye doctor because my eyes are all dilated and the lights are all exploding around me. Everybody has lights around me.
Maybe that's why I'm not normal. Maybe it's your eyes. Yeah. No, there's no reason for me to be unusual. I'm just.
How are you doing? I'm so glad to see you. You all right? Good, 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 good. You bet. It's always good to greet each other, but now let's get started. I want to call on Richard Stanford if he'll come and lead us in the invocation and also in the pledge and the national anthem. Richard Stanford, would you come on up?
Do we have any concerns? We'll save joys for Happy Bucks, but do we have any concerns? Yeah, Sean.
A friend of mine, Scott Walker, just had surgery. Pray for his continued recovery. Scott Walker.
Okay. Okay.
Had a heart transplant.
Whoa. Okay. That major stuff. Okay. Who else? Yeah, Pat.
I just learned that a good friend's father passed away this morning.
James Bruce? Okay.
And my sister, Lydia Summers, is struggling with cancer and stage 4 cancer.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
My
Jeff.
sister-in-law, she's has stage 2 breast cancer.
What's her name?
Susan.
Susan. Okay. Yeah, Jeff.
Unfortunately, same thing. Dear friend diagnosed with stage 4 esophageal.
And that's a tough one. Okay. Okay. If you bow your heads, we'll pray. Father, today we remember all those whose names have been lifted up, Scott and James and Lydia, all those who are in your care. We know you take care of us in life and death, and we give thanks for that. But we want to remember them in their tough times. And we want to give thanks for a new day, for every new day. It's been really fun this last couple of weeks watching the Olympics and knowing that there are new people on the stage, new stories to be told, new things for us to experience. So much you give us every day that we wake up looking for so much opportunity to meet new people, to learn and grow in wisdom, to seek greater understanding. Every day is a gift from you, and we thank you for that. Help us celebrate that and help us remember who is the giver of those gifts. We pray that in your name. Amen. And now our Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our
Sorry,
national.
I screwed up. I can't get the audio to come through.
We will
so I
sing.
have to do acapella.
Okay, we'll sing a cappella, but I'll turn away from the microphone because I don't want to ruin the singing. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
You may be seated. Richard, I'm going to give you the mic and the box.
Yes.
Here we go. It is now time for Happy Bucks, and so I think that there's some people in the room that may be happy about one thing or another. So if you raise your hand, and Richard will come around and you can tell us what you're happy about today.
John.
No one's happy.
John's happy. Anybody that's happy.
We are the most fun club in the district. We need to be happy about something.
All right.
Okay.
I just got my driver's license renewed for another 8 years.
Oh, good. That's important. People don't know. Yes. Anybody else?
Okay, I'm happy. So I'm going to be happy that, here we go. Isaac Newton is joining our club today. He's going to receive his packet and be welcome. He works with me at DBG Advisors, so I'm happy that Isaac's going to become a member today. No one else? Anybody? Okay, with that said, let's move along to introduction of guests.
I have a guest.
You have a guest, okay.
A good friend of Susan Rogers, Karen Stepsick. Karen is regent of the DAR here, and they were in the parade, and that's how she came to know us, and she's excited about Rotary. She's retired from Shearson Lehman. So welcome, Karen.
Welcome.
Thank you, Richard. You all know our special guest. I'll introduce him in just a moment. But also, along with Dr. Rockwood, we have Anna Avila, who is the Director of Communications for the Highland Park District, and we're glad to have her with us.
We sure are.
Thank you.
Well, it's my honor today to introduce a very good friend of mine, Josh Tremblay. He is a friend of my family, and I'm a friend of theirs, and I'm going to let him say hello.
Hi, like Susan said, my name is Josh Tremblay. I'm a recent SMU graduate, just looking to get connected in Dallas, and it's great to be here. I'd love to meet every one of y'all. So, I graduated with a degree in economics. Yes.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, y'all. You all know that we have a partnership with Rotary, we at People Newspapers, and we honor 20 young people under 40 every year. And I have with me today Brian Oates, who's one of our honorees, and he is an HPISD parent, and he's an attorney at Jackson Walker. And I just found out that his wife writes for us, and I had not made the connection. We have a person named Diana Oates that writes for us, and lo and behold, it's his wife, so which is cool.
All right. Thank you, Pat.
Just real quickly, you all had the pleasure of meeting Tom Bright last week. He's come back a second time, so thrilled he's back again with us. Welcome, Tom.
Anyone else? All right. Greg Pape is going to come and share with us about the Rotary Foundation. Greg is the person to talk to us about it. The man has spent years helping the foundation become all that it is. Greg?
Thank you, Mr. President. You're welcome. I was about that high when I started. Oh, well. I've had a lot of help along the way. Hey, just sort of summing things up so we can inspire ourselves today and moving forward. We're going to brag about some individuals, about what we've accomplished. Last year, fiscal 2023-24, under President Jeff Sheehan's year, Rotary International Foundation, we contributed over $38,000. And we're coming off the blocks hard and strong with our current president, NOLAN DUCK. We've just crested over $12,000, and we haven't even finished with August yet. So, and I'm going to mention the names. We have Rick Amesbury as part of that group, past district governor, Fred Brown, Dean Chance, Chris Clausen, Mr. Collaborative, Cleve Clinton, C.C. Colley. Now, there's a guy, 102 years of age, and yesterday he gives me a check for $1,000. And he's been doing that for over 30 years. Wow. Our current president, NOLAN DUCK, is on this list. God bless him. He's also a Paul Harris Society. Karen Ferris, Happy Franklin, Doug Gill, Richard Gilman, and Roselle, his wife, have each made a Paul Harris Society level contribution. Bob Grossman, Eric Harrickson, Barb Jeffries, Scott McLaughlin, Jody Ray, Jeff Sheehan, thank you, Jeff, Richard Stanford, and Lee Wagner. John Server passed away a couple of months ago, who was an infectious disease specialist, and I mention his name because he championed the Rodeo's polio eradication program. He was 92. He was also a member of Rotary since 1964 in Chicago. Those are some stats, major stats. So remember, Rotary is an organization founded on the principle of advancing world understanding, goodwill, and peace. It's our responsibility to promote peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. Now our marketplace advertiser, Kathy Wall, would you come up and share with us about David Goodson?
Listen, they have quite a reputation here. RLG Consulting Engineers provides engineering, civil engineering, structural engineering, surveying, forensic services to clients all across the country, I mean Texas and the United States. Over the 70 years, get this, all these DFW projects, they do North Park, Dallas Arboretum, St. Mark's, Hockaday, Green Hill, as well as numerous projects projects at SMU, Highland Park High School, Baylor Scott and White, Texas Health Presbyterian. Recent projects include the new sports complex at SMU, Ford Stadium, administrative building at Baylor, AT&T Discovery Plaza downtown, renovations to the SMU Cox Business School, the old Ware's furniture store into a new 12-story mixed office and retail. That's just amazing. RLG staff includes 30 professional engineers and surveyors, over 70 total employees with offices in Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Sherman, Illinois. Club member David Goodson, is he here? I didn't see him. Okay. Retired after 30 years at the firm at the end of 2019 and was succeeded by CEO, former RCPC member Stuart Markison. Stuart remains the third generation of Park City's Rotary leadership at the company that Ray Goodson Jr., a past president of the club, founded in 1953. So, thank you, Mr. Goodson. All right.
Now I'd like to call on Isaac Newton to come on up here at this time. That's you, Isaac. So I am the one that is bringing Isaac into the club, so I'm going to both be your sponsor and present you with this today. Now, Isaac, this is an important document that you need to get your hands around and your head, looking into this, because this is how you become a member. Now, you have a red badge right now. That's your badge. But when you get through all the things you're supposed to do in this book, you get one of these. And that makes you really special. It took, I'm not sure how long it took me to get through this whole thing. I think it took me about a year. And I'm hoping he gets through a lot faster than I did. So he will. I'm sure he will. He's a lot brighter than I am. That's what you're thinking, Jeff. I know. Yeah, I can help him get through it. So welcome Isaac Newton as a new member here at our club. All right. With that said, Holly. Let's see, is Holly here? Okay. Well, Holly Hollenbeck, I tell you what, I'll run ahead and do some announcements while she is working her way in here. She's going to make an announcement or two as well. I don't know if you've noticed this on your table, but there's a 2024-2025 volunteer opportunity sheet that's on your table. And you can go online and fill this out. You know, there's a lot of things that we can be a part of in Rotary, and that is kind of outlines everything that you could sign up to be a part of. And it would be great if we could have as many of us as possible involved and engaged in these service opportunities that we have. Now, so just be aware of that. Holly, come on up. You snuck up on me. I didn't see you out of the corner of my eye. This is Holly, and just tell us about what's going on.
Hi, so I'm on your board, and I'm in charge of the health and wellness teams. And we have a number of different teams that are putting together great events this year. The next biggest one is the Foot Care Clinic. As you recall, last year, it's back again this year, September 28th. From about 9 until noon. You'll be getting emails to volunteer to sign up for that. Hope you can join us this year. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to really be there for those that need it most, the homeless in our community down at the Austin Street Shelter. And we check people in. We help bring water to the nurses. And we wash and care for the feet of the homeless and give them new socks and shoes. So that's September 28th. Please look for the emails to sign up. We also, in the health and wellness group, are involved with, what? Oh, Austin Street Center, yes. You'll get that all in the email when you sign up, but please put it on your calendar. The Scottish Rite is also a volunteer opportunity this year. And I understand that Jeff McNaughton's going to be leading that for us. and that'll be, you know, the popcorn packing. And then we have the Angel Tree in December, which is the distribution center. Eric, I think, is running that again this year. And he gets volunteers to go down, and we sort gifts for those that need it most in our community. And then the Health and Wellness also has Child's Play. It's a playground that we funded. It doesn't need anything right now, but we keep that on our radar. Also, Dentistry with a Heart. So now there's 3 big, huge volunteer opportunities this fall. You've got the Foot Care Clinic on September 28th. Now you have the Dentistry with a Heart event, which has just been set for October 5th at the brand new Agape Clinic. That was put together by Dr. Rainwater and Fred. They just let me know about that today. The executive director of the Agape Clinic, Paul Hoffman, has been a huge help in us getting that going again this year, because as you recall, we didn't get to do Dentistry with a Heart last year. So now we're back to doing that this year. So he's going to need about 15 to 20 volunteers on October 5th. And then, not part of my group, one of the other groups, we've also got the North Texas Food Bank event coming up in October. That's Susan. She'll be talking to you about that. So please, that's 3 big volunteer opportunities this fall. So we really hope that all of you step up, because we have a lot of volunteer positions to fill between the 3 of us. So I'll be watching for emails from Fred Brown or Dr. Rainwater for the Dentistry with a Heart, from me regarding the Foot Care Clinic, and then Susan will be talking to you in the coming weeks about filling the positions for the North Texas Food Bank later in October. So back to my group, though, other than Dentistry with a Heart, the Austin Street, and I mentioned the Scottish Rite, the Angel Tree, Child's Play, and Bonton Clinic is another one of our partners that falls under my health and wellness group. And Bonton Clinic, as you know, we funded to buy equipment for a brand new clinic that's going to support the medical needs of that high risk, high need community. So there's not a lot we're doing right now on that, other than having provided the funds, but as opportunities arise in the future for Bonton Farms, we'll let you know about that. So if you have any ideas for any of these great partners that are under health and wellness, or any new partners, or any ideas at all that you would like to share with me in the way of health and wellness for our Rotary Club, please let me know. I am your director for that area, and I'm here to put together and help make sure that all our great events are ran by great teams and great team members. So if you want to be one of those team members, we would love to have you. Like I said, we need lots of volunteers, not just this fall, but throughout the whole year. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Holly. And let's see, one last announcement I want to make has to do with Rotary Means Business. Now, there's going to be basically a happy hour at the 12 Cuts Brazilian Steakhouse, which is right off the tollway, on August the 13th from 5 to 7:30. So if you'd like to be a part of that, then please make plans to be there. Now, Kathy Wall, do you have the raffle stuff? Now, what we do is yeah, thank you for picking. Yeah, don't look. We can't let you do that. Now, what is the amount of money? We just had a winner a couple of weeks ago, so the money's...
Okay, this is exciting. We have a total of $30. If you win today, you get your money back.
Oh, it's 45. Okay. So $22.50 comes to you. Okay. Here is the number. The last 4 are 2122. Sean, come on up. Now, I haven't shuffled these cards very well, so I'm not sure how this is all going to work, but I'm not going to let you see any of them. No, come on, just grab one and we'll... All right, 8 of hearts he gets to keep as a souvenir for not winning today. So good job, good job. I'll let you have this back. Thank you so much, Kathy. All right, with that accomplished, I want to call on Jeff Brady to come and introduce our speaker for the day. Come on up, Jeff.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Well, we're in for a real treat today, and I'm excited. I know all of us are aware, a lot of us are parents in the room, and so many of us are connected one way or another to our fantastic local school district, so we have so many ties, and we in this club, and I know President Nolan really wants to emphasize and increase our relationship with the school district and build those bonds, and that's what we're going to do today. So I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Mike Rockwood. He is, believe it or not, he's only the 9th superintendent in Highland Park ISD's history, dating back to 1914. He joined HPISD about a year and a half ago in April of 2023 following the unanimous approval of the Board of Trustees. Dr. Rockwood previously served as the superintendent of schools in Lake Dallas ISD, where he led the district to new academic heights, and he will do the same here. This includes earning record state accountability ratings at every elementary school, while the high school is named one of the U.S. News and World Report's best high schools in the country. Prior to Lake Dallas ISD, Dr. Rockwood served as the deputy superintendent in one of the state's fastest growing 6A school districts, Lamar CISD. So he's got a great track record. In that role, he was responsible for supporting academic, operational, and financial initiatives that resulted in an A rating from the state. Dr. Rockwood, I could go on and on and on, but he asked me to abbreviate, but there's just so much good stuff. Dr. Rockwood has been recognized by the Dallas Business Journal as a 40 under 40 recipient for innovative business leadership. The National School Public Relations Association has named him as one of its 25 national superintendents to watch. And SMU selected Dr. Rockwood as one of its National District Leadership Fellows. So he is clearly a high achiever, and I recently learned he also has a track record with Rotary and is also, where's Greg Pape, is also a Paul Harris Fellow. So we all need to know that. That's the background. He received, I could go on and on. He's a graduate of Baylor. He got his master's from George Washington. Most importantly, he got his bachelor's from Texas A&M University. I like this guy. He and his wife, Janae, have 2 kids here. Help me give a warm Rotary welcome to Dr. Mike Rockwood.
All righty, thank you, Jeff. I certainly appreciate that. I have an older photo right there, so hopefully I can keep up with everything and see what's happening. I didn't know there'd be singing to start today. That's new. I'm not used to that in Rotary, but hopefully we're going to be all set. So as Jeff mentioned, this is a photo of my family. We've been here in the Park Cities for about a year and a half. My wife, Janae, is the Global Marketing Director for Impact Fluid Solutions in the oil and gas industry based out of Houston. So she's on the sciencey side. I'm more on the education side. And then we've got Luke and Lauren. Luke will be starting MIS this year as a 5th grader, and Lauren will be in her 2nd year at Higher Elementary. So if there are any Higher Huskies in the room, she certainly appreciated her time there. And then before I do anything, I have to give a big shout out to our Board of Trustees. You know, we have a school board, 7 individuals, 5 of whom are alumni in Highland Park ISD, and they truly get it when it comes to the importance of education and the partnership in our community. And speaking of partnerships, we have an incredible track record in terms of working with the City of Dallas, working with UP, and the town of HP. In fact, every single month I have the great privilege of meeting with both Robbie and Tobin over at UP and HP, and we make sure we're all aligned on all the things that happened right here in the Park Cities. This is probably not news to many of you, but we are just over 6 square miles. We've got HP, UP, and the City of Dallas, just a little bit in HPISD. And then we have 8 campuses in Highland Park ISD. And I learned quite quickly that if you were an alumni of Highland Park ISD, where you went to elementary school is quite important. So as I mentioned, Luke and Lauren last year at Higher, you know, I'd go to meetings like this, I would say Higher, about 20% of the room would give a raucous applause, and then I'd get a bless your heart from, you know, the 80% of the rest of the room. And so I will say this, though, being the superintendent of schools, I get to go to every single campus, and every single Highland Park campus is unique, but they are all uniquely Highland Park ISD. So it's certainly a privilege to visit all of our campuses. Excellence is certainly something that is important in Highland Park ISD for my 8 predecessors and myself, but excellence in academics, arts, athletics, and service. And I will say, when I got here to Highland Park, I learned quite quickly there are 3 types of people that live in the Park Cities, right? Type A, double A, and triple A. And you all have to figure out which one you are. And I will say now, a year and a half later, we have a lot of triple A parents and patrons in Highland Park. But I'll say that in a way, you know, someone asked, what's your greatest challenge and opportunity? And I truly think it's the community. Because while we have triple A expectations from our community, we have AAA support. And all that we receive in terms of our PTAs, our PTOs, our foundation, and folks like you certainly is appreciated. So thank you, we appreciate that. One thing that I love to always brag on in terms of our graduating classes, it's almost normalcy here in the Park Cities, but it is not common to have a 50-hour requirement for community service to receive your diploma in high school in any other school district. But our motto in Highland Park ISD, enter to learn, go forth to serve. You will not graduate unless you have 50 hours of community service before you get out. And so much like our Rotarians in the room, you all understand a thing or two about service. We try to instill that in our young people early on, and certainly before they exit our campuses. Unrivaled post-secondary success, you know, for the longest time, it's important that we have our students prepared for college. As you can see there, I can rattle them all off, but we outpace the state and many of our peers when it comes to ACT, SAT, college prep. And then anecdotally, when I got here a year and a half ago, I mentioned to a couple of folks in the room, I showed up, went to Highland Park High School. First thing I saw was what our students were doing up in the MAPS program and you know, the chemistry labs. And I will say, our young people are so prepared for anything that we have to offer in terms of the University of Texas, A&M, Baylor, SMU. They are ready, and I think all of our parents would agree as I chat with them. Right here, we had 13 students who were named National Merit Semifinalists last year, and as you know, that's the top 2% of seniors all across the country, so incredibly proud of them. This is some things that I think are really neat, and so we talked with a few folks about our MAPS program, Moody Advanced Professional Studies. I don't know how many Netflix viewers are here, but there is a show on Netflix. I don't watch it, but apparently it's the #1 show on Netflix. It's called Drive to Survive, and it's a Formula One racing program. If you're a racer or a car fan, you might have seen it, but they actually came here this past year, brought their, you know, multi-million-dollar Formula One race car there. Our students were able to get up, but also to hear from the drivers themselves. And if you've never seen a Formula One race car, it's about as big, the seat as big as this table right here, and the steering wheel has about 75 buttons all over it. It was incredibly neat to see, but for our kids, it's the hands-on opportunities. Netflix was there, ESPN was there. It's not just about, you know, learning about things in a textbook, but we have the best and brightest coming to talk to our students. And that's not just at the high school. We had multiple Baylor Scott and White doctors over at Bradfield Elementary dissecting things with students in the classroom. And so we try to make it important to have hands-on experiences throughout. And then you might have recalled last year, Mark Cuban sold his stake in the Mavericks, and literally the day that it was announced, he was coming to Highland Park High School to speak to our students and faculty about entrepreneurship and business leadership. And we actually thought we were going to get that last-minute cancellation, but true to his word, Mr. Cuban came, had a great packed house there at the gymnasium to let us know. So again, whether it's, you know, doctors, Formula One racers, Mark Cuban, business people, we want to expose our students to the very best that DFW has to offer. And I love this slide right here. I found it out when I got here. So if you're an alumni of Highland Park, you did not have water polo whenever you were at Highland Park High School. But I found quite quickly that 2 years ago, we started the inaugural water polo program. And when we do things in Highland Park ISD, we don't just try to kick them off and see how it goes. They want to win immediately. And I thought it was fantastic that in our very first year, we were district champs and went to area. Last year, in our second year, district champs again, went to area. And so I will say, you know, whatever we do in Highland Park ISD, we always have those AAA expectations, and we're certainly proud of our young people. Same thing this year. We've never been in an indoor drumline competition, right? This year, first year, what are we? State champions. And so, you know, whether it's the athletic programs or the fine arts programs, we jump right in there. And then I don't know if you've heard of a name, Randy Allen, quite common in these parts, but Coach Allen is amazing, one, as a man, a father, and a leader in the community. If he were here today, he'd be sitting right here in the front. front row, he's a fantastic representative of our district, but he is also the winningest active football coach in the state of Texas. And so we're doing the math here. We're trying to figure out how much more he's got. I think we got about 4 more years. And so then we'll see what happens. But he's got some grandchildren coming through for about 5 or 6 more years. So we're rolling the dice. But we're certainly glad to have Coach Allen here. If you've looked at the schedule, we've got a really competitive schedule this year. We've got a neat program. We've got a football team from Colorado, Cherry Creek. They're going to be here. 5-time state championships out of the Denver area. And so they're our second or third game right after, I believe, Lovejoy's in there and a couple others. So we're gonna put his 2-loss record at Highlander to the test this year. But my money is always on Coach Allen. And then if you don't know what the Lone Star Cup is, right? It sounds athletic, and we're at Highlander Field here, right? But the Lone Star Cup is the culmination of all UIL activities. So that's academic decathlon, athletics, and fine arts. And every single high school in Texas gets a point for how competitive or how much they excel in these different areas. And so all across the board, we continue to excel, and we have the most Lone Star Cups of any high school in the state of Texas. And so when you think about not just the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s and the college preparedness, but also what's happening outside of the classroom, on the field, in the band hall, we continue to excel, and we're really proud of the Lone Star Cup accomplishments. So why HP? Oh goodness, this is why, about 7 years ago I needed to wear glasses, but I always leave them back behind. I probably need to, just go ahead and bring them with me. I can't really read this here, so I'm gonna cheat here. I'm gonna pull it up on my phone here. But these are some things when I talk to realtors or I talk to community members. Why HP, right? What's so great about Highland Park ISD? Over 97% of Highland Park graduates attend college. The other 3 probably go off to entrepreneurship or other things. Over 60% of our teachers hold a master's degree, and I think that's great because it's still an expectation in our school district that we want all of our teachers to be leaders and excel in their craft. I mentioned the 13 Lone Star Cups. Neighborhood schools and strong community support. When people say, what is the difference in terms of Highland Park ISD versus St. Mark's or Hockaday or Ursuline, I say it's important that every family finds the right opportunities for their family and their children. I've got both Luke and Lauren in the schools, and Luke will show up next week, and he'll be very reserved, he'll be very compliant, and he'll listen to everything the teacher says. Lauren will kind of kick the door in and say ta-da. And so I think whatever the options are, I don't want people to not choose Highland Park ISD because they think that we can't provide the best opportunities for your kids. But I think the one thing that Highland Park offers in the Park Cities is that sense of community. You might go to a private offering or a Christian offering, and that might be great for your family. But when you come to Highland Park ISD, you truly are part of a community and a family with our dads clubs, with our PTAs, our PTOs, and it truly is great to witness and watch. We have PE, music, art, foreign language at every single elementary campus. That's still a priority. Intermediate campus, as I mentioned, you're going to come into 5 and 6 before you move up to middle school. And again, I mentioned that 50-hour requirement. So certainly enter to learn and go forth to serve. So that's a little bit about HP. When I wrap up here, I'm going to take questions from the audience. And I found pretty quickly that the dads clubs and the men groups, they don't have a question. When I visit the PTAs, time for questions, boom, 15 hands to go up. So we'll put you to the test and see if you've got any questions for me today. But you also have some flyers on your tables, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Bond 2024. And so our school board actually called for a bond referendum this week on Tuesday after lots of community input, lots of information gathering this past year. And so I will just say that Bond 2024, it impacts immediate maintenance and safety needs. There is no tax increase to the rate from Highland Park ISD, and it would be an opportunity to continue to increase teacher salaries. One of the things I found out that teacher salaries in Highland Park ISD has been a priority. And around the pandemic, and even 3 years ago, the starting teacher salary in Highland Park ISD was hovering right around $50,000. And we passed the VATRE, the Golden Penny election a couple of years ago, and because of that, our starting teacher salaries are now for every teacher at least $60,000. And that may not seem like a big jump, but when you talk about education and teachers, when most of our teachers are driving in from Frisco or Allen or Garland or Mesquite or other areas, they have options to go to those districts. And economies of scale, how the state funding formula works, all of those districts are offering 65, 66, 67. And so when you love kids and you know this is a great place to be, but it's hard sometimes to have that commute in and not be compensated competitively. So making sure we're compensating our teachers has been critically important. But this was the real impetus for the conversation, right? So last year, my first year in Highland Park ISD, 3 separate times we had water leaks at Highland Park Middle School and MIS. And these are images of the HVAC chiller piping systems. So if you were to pull down all of this ceiling tile and see the chillers and the pipes and how the water cools the whole facility, they would continue to erode and leak, and we've had multi-million dollars of damages over previous years. We had to shut down wings of the campus. It's been a complete mess. We had an independent study come in, and if we didn't fix these, there might be a situation where I'm taking 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and dispersing them to elementary campuses. And again, with those AAA parents that we talked about earlier, I don't think they would have liked an option of shutting down a campus for the school year. So we actually got these repairs done over the summer. It was an absolute necessity. One of the things you can do with the bond referendum is you have 18 months to pay yourself back for immediate repairs. So if the bond were to be successful, all of these finances will be taken care of out of the upcoming bond election. Again, we talked a little bit about some of the leaks over there at MIS, HPMS over the past 7 years. And this might be hard to see, but this is an example over winter break. This is the auditorium there, and you can't really see it, but you see that whole gray area right there in front of the wooded stage. That's all water. I mean, it flooded all of that out, so it's been impacting our athletic programs, our fine arts programs, and many areas in the campus. And so that was the real impetus for let's have a conversation about what we need as a school district. And if you say, you know what, I don't really know about this bond, I don't know what you're talking about, you have to understand how school districts are funded in the state of Texas. We are funded annually to pay our annual operating budget. We don't have a budget for big capital improvements, right? And so 85% of every dollar we get every single year goes to all those teachers' salaries, all of their benefits, and then that 15% left over, that keeps the lights on, that buys the books, that buys the uniforms. It does all the things to keep our schools running. So when you have you know, an $8 to $12 million capital expenditure of something that is deficient, that's breaking, a bond referendum is the only public option to go out to our community. And so we had a community advisory committee that met over this past semester. Many folks, if you go onto our website, that you may know, and really gave us good feedback. And one of the things I heard over and over again was, Mike, no tax increase, right? And so we really emphasized that anything we do will not impact the tax rate. And so this will have a huge impact for Highland Park ISD and its facilities, but it will not impact your tax rate. And so this is a few quick slides that are replicated in the handout that's on your table before you, but it really covers a lot of things, those immediate needs, like the HVAC chiller piping system, budget and compensation optimization. So the tax rate has 2 parts in Texas. There's an M&O, which is the daily pieces, and there's an interest in sinking, an INS, which is debt service, right? We cannot pay teachers out of a bond directly. But there are many things that are eligible for a bond that if we moved out of our M&O rate over to INS, we could then use that money to increase our teacher salaries. Many other recapture districts across Texas have utilized that so that we have more local control over our dollars. Property acquisition. I don't have a slide about this, but we really looked at this. Highland Park High School. If you looked at Highland Park High School, and if you had children or grandchildren there today, and you went out to Frisco or Prosper or another area with a high school of a similar size, you would see a footprint of a high school on 120 acres. Massive, multiple facilities. The kids would spread out, and the opportunities that we have for our kids aren't there because we know that we're landlocked. But right next to the high school on Higher Street and Grassmere, a previous board had put the foresight into place to buy up a lot of those properties, right? And so in the future, if we finish that out, we'll have an opportunity in a future bond with a future board to make sure we have opportunities for Highland Park High School students. But we know that Highland Park High School isn't getting any bigger, and at the same time, property values aren't getting any cheaper. And so we've got about 90% of a contingent block next to Highland Park High School, but we need a little bit more money to make sure we can close that out and have access to bring back to the voters in the future. And then campus and district improvements. We did go to all of our PTAs, our PTOs, and our principals, and we made sure that every single campus that we knew, for the folks that are there every single day, what are the things happening on your campus, what's missing, and we heard from them as well. But when we talk about propositions, right, this is a singular proposition. One of the things we were preparing for, the legislature actually changed the law several years ago where you can't have everything in a singular proposition unless it's absolutely necessary. They will break things out, such as the sports stadiums and these big fine arts, performing arts centers that they're building. And so we don't have a multi-proposition because we were very intentional working with our community group about just the immediate needs, the things that we need to get on in Highland Park ISD. And I've also heard some things, it's not about getting bigger. This is not a bond about building new facilities. This is a maintenance and efficiency bond. You saw the annual budget. This is about making sure that all of those things that are breaking don't get beyond our control. Because honestly, if those things keep on breaking, we're going to have to use our M&O budget to pay for them, which will reduce and inhibit our ability to pay our teachers. So some finance facts here. Oh my goodness, again, back to my glasses here. I'm gonna see if I can sneak over here and not break the microphone here. But you can see that our tax rate has actually decreased about 25% since 2018-19 in Highland Park ISD. The proposed bond would not increase your tax rate. And then if you are 65 or older, your tax rate is frozen. So it will not be impacted at all whatsoever based on what's going on. We talked over and over about no tax rate increase, but the ballot in November will say, by law, this is a tax rate increase. I don't know why the legislature in its infinite wisdom required that. I think they want to make sure that people are thoroughly reading the ballots and the different bond propositions, but we already know that this will not increase the tax rate at all, but it's required to be on the ballot, so you need to be well informed and understand how that impacts you as a voter. Again, Highland Park ISD is one of only 3 school districts in Texas that has the highest ratings, AAA, from Moody and Fitch. And if you don't know, there are 1,100 school districts in Texas. And so we get incredible bond ratings, we have incredible credit options, and it truly is a blessing to be here in Highland Park ISD. And the last thing that I'll mention about the bond before I'm opening up for questions about the bond or HP in general, we talked about recapture. And I don't know how many, are there Highland Park ISD alumni in the room? I'm just curious, by a handful, show of hands. So if you went to Highland Park ISD before 1993, right, we were flush with cash because we had control of our finances. And when the funding formula in the state changed in the early to mid-90s, they were taking all of the money and moving it back to the state and distributing it to, property, non-wealthy communities, areas that might need some additional support, right? So every dollar that we receive in local taxes, we send 58 cents back immediately, back to the state of Texas, right? Now with a bond referendum, 100% of the dollars stay right here in local control. Each project is publicly posted. It goes to our school board. You're able to see what happens with your dollars. It's basically taking every dollar and doubling it for our kids and our community and making sure that we maintain the excellence of Highland Park ISD. So again, early voting begins in October. Election day is November 5th. I don't know if you know there's another big ticket item on the ballot in November. I'm not here to talk about that per se, but I know we're going to have great voter turnout in November. And I would just ask you again, I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but I would ask everyone in this room to please be informed. And if you see something that's not adding up to you, please make sure you reach out. We'll make sure we get the right staff member to explain it or get the information you need, because this is something that could impact Highland Park ISD. Okay, and then I don't know how many folks are on social media, but you see me there on X or Instagram. If you have your camera on your phone and you take a picture of that QR code on the far right, that will take you directly to the bond website. You can watch it on video and learn more information. But with all of that, I will pause and be happy to answer any general questions about HPISD or bond 2024.
And Mike, thank you for talking. Obviously, with all the high levels of this excellence at HPISD, my question is different to always the MAD for Plaid. And how does that affect the operational, just in general, how does that affect this operations at this
So that's great. One, so Highland Park Education Foundation does an annual giving campaign called Mad for Plaid. You might see all the signs out throughout the community coming up in the fall semester. And you know, what I learned in my first year is a little bit more about that. And that is an annual giving campaign that's a baseline that we absolutely rely on. Mad for Plaid will never go away because we are already supplementing the budget there. And so when we build our budget annually, we're working with the foundation and we're expecting the $1.7 million contribution just to pay for the salaries that we've already promised to our teachers. And so again, that's a way to supplement that 58 cents we're sending back to the state every single year. And it's a whole lot cheaper than some other educational alternatives that are out there, and our parents are very generous. But that isn't an additional amount that we get every year and then we just frivolously spend it. That's an amount that keeps us whole each and every year, and we will never budget beyond what that is, but it's something that we have to do every single year. But it's incredibly important to the annual budget. Yes?
So I'm curious about what grade level are the kids introduced to foreign language?
Foreign language, that's a great question. So we actually have a foreign language teacher in every single one of our elementary schools. And so we have a rotation and they begin at the elementary level. I'm not sure if pre-K gets in there, but I know that all of our grade levels, K through 4, have an opportunity to visit a Spanish lab every single week, all throughout the year. They get plenty of lessons and they are certainly ready for low language other than English, foreign language options when they get to secondary. So that's something that we have in every single one of our 5 elementaries.
Mike, thanks again for being here. We love having you, and I think this might need to be an annual tradition that you come back every year before school starts. Hey, could you tell all of us a little bit more about MAPS? I think it's really an innovative program, and it is unique to Highland Park, and it has, for what little I know, kind of an innovative approach to teaching kids in these professional areas that involves team building and kind of project-based learning.
Yeah, I mean, you saw some of the things with Mark Cuban and the Formula One race car and the hands-on opportunities. It has different facets, whether it's architecture or engineering, brain science, entrepreneurialism. It really gets our kids connected to the business community and career options. Most school districts in Texas focus on a career and technology education, CTE. Here in Highland Park, with 97% of our students going off to college, college is the focus, and so MAPS is an opportunity to have them engage with business leaders all across DFW. And if you can imagine the connections that we have from alumni or staff members, we get amazing individuals to come and speak with our young people. But you know, I said it earlier and it's true. When I first walked in, I actually walked into a MAPS classroom. And first I couldn't tell, you know, when I was in high school, you could tell, you know, the academics from the jocks and the athletes, and all of our kids were so spread in these engineering classes, high performing, doing well. The conversations were so intellectually rich and deep, and I think the biggest testament, I can keep talking about it, but you know, Jeff mentioned that when his own children are in the program and the parents come back and say, this was a neat experience, or my child wants to come to school to participate in this activity, it's important that we're having these hands-on opportunities, definitely.
Is there a timeline for putting artificial turf down at the middle school and the elementary schools? They get a tremendous amount of wear and tear.
Yes, you know, I will say that artificial turf was a big part of the Community Advisory Committee conversation. And so if the bond were to be successful, the plan would be to have turf installed at Highland Park Middle School and MIS. And so if you know where the campus is on the backside, that whole area would be turfed. Right now, we have 0 plans to turf any of our elementary campuses. That being said, I know a couple of our PTAs and PTOs, the families that live there, they surveyed the campus parents, and they came up with money to donate very small portions of elementary campuses. But if you think about that from a point of view as well, why can't we do that at the middle school? The areas at the elementary are very tiny footprints that are really, you know, not even really recreational is the right word, whereas HPMS and MIS, the large field that's there, I drove by today, and it's being used by lacrosse and other club sports. It is just constantly overutilized. And when you talk about the property acquisition piece, when we talk about Prosper High School, they've got multiple facilities, and all of their grounds don't get the same wear and tear as our tiny little footprint right there at the middle school. So if all of our students jumping on the athletic or extracurricular or bandwagon, they're just beating those traditional grass fields down to really just dirt. If it rains, we can't do anything for weeks, and our kids are basically inside, and they're not preparing themselves for the weekend activities. So again, there's not an immediate timeline, but if the bond were to be successful, that would be something that would be a priority, certainly at the middle school.
I want to go back to your point about teachers. You touched on salaries, and obviously that's a competitive environment. I just wonder if you could elaborate a little bit. In the district, do you have a lot of openings that you're trying to fill, or do you have a waiting list? What are kind of the things that, obviously the culture you have at Highland Park compares to any private or public school district in the state, but just wonder if you'd talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think it's a critical time for Highland Park ISD, honestly. So I came in, and the first thing I asked for was a lot of reports, a lot of data about what's happening within the system. And one of the first things that stood out to me is that over the past 5 years, after the pandemic, essentially, 45% of our staff has turned over and exited Highland Park ISD. And so we have this standard of excellence in the school district, but we've lost half of our staff over a 5-year period. And that was primarily because, again, at a certain point, teachers are eligible for a pension, and if you're getting paid here, but you can go to Frisco or Prosper or Allen, and you can get a $10,000 jump, that's going to impact your retirement. And it really is a big deal to them. And so we had all of those exits. When the Golden Penny election passed, and for the past 3 years, our salaries have gone up, and they're capped. I mean, basically, the value in that is flatlined for now. We have had fewer and fewer this past year, and this summer we've had fewer and fewer teachers decline due to salary. But I would say 4 and 5 years ago, teachers would just say, I'd love to be in Highland Park ISD, I love what you're all about, but I can't turn down a $7,000 difference to come to your campus. And what we really want to have in Highland Park ISD is the very best teachers, right? And so we have to be competitive with the market. And if we're just competitive with the market, they're going to come to our campus, they're going to see the love and appreciation they get from the PTAs and the foundation, and our students are incredibly compliant, well-educated, intelligent, and they're really a joy to teach. But again, at the end of the day, when you've got to take care of your own family, the dollars and cents area matters. So the one piece of talking about what do other recapture districts do is what are all the things that we can do to be strategic? How do we look at the tax law, how we're funded as a state, do things legally and compliantly, but make sure that we're getting the most bang for our bucks? And so with that budget and compensation piece, zero impact to your tax rate, but we'll have more funds available to continue to pay our teachers. In fact, there will be an immediate raise for teachers this year retroactively in December if the bond were to be successful.
Okay, Art gets the last question.
Great presentation, great high school, great achievement. But we also know that to achieve globally in all areas, creativity is one of the most important things. How is creativity encouraged in the different areas, not only the arts, but all areas at your school?
I think that's a great point, and certainly, anecdotally, we talked about the foreign language students at every elementary campus. We have art and a science lab at every single campus. So most districts have science labs that begin at the middle and the high schools, but every single one of our elementaries has a science lab that really supports the learning happening in the classroom, but our students will leave their daily teacher, they'll go into the science lab, and so again, when it's art, when it's science, when it's foreign language, all of these opportunities, not to mention the gardens that are at every single one of our campuses. I think when we say well-educated and well-rounded students, we want to make sure that there's a lot of cross-functional learning happening at our campuses. And you'll see that if you visit any of our campuses on a daily basis. But we continue to stress that as an important area for our kiddos. And I think as they get up into the high school area, they just have so many opportunities to get plugged in and get engaged. It sounds like I'm getting the call to wrap up. I will say, I'll be here at the conclusion of the meeting. If any of you have any more pointed or direct questions for me, or any kind of ones, I'll take those too. But really happy to be here. I will say, as someone who's been involved in Rotary previously, we truly applied the four-way test to the bond process and what we do to educate your kids. And I appreciate you letting me speak here and looking forward to coming back and meeting with you and working with you in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Rockwood, you have been a very engaging speaker, and appreciate you so much in what you're doing. It's innovative, important, and just amazing, all the things that are taking place. And so we applaud you and hope that this bond issue goes through and that all works out just exactly well. Now, one last thing before you leave. A book is going to be placed in the Jack Lowe Senior Elementary School in your honor for speaking with us today. Big paycheck you get today, but anyway, we're glad that you're here.
No, thank y'all.
Thank you so much. As the last thing we're going to do today is Isaac Newton's going to come and lead us in the four-way test. So please stand as he leads us.
All right, everyone. So the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
You can ring the bell.
Okay, awesome. Right here? Nice.
Good job.
Awesome.
Good job.
That was a great speech as well.
Man, it was. Absolutely. We're trying.
Yeah, you did it.